Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Tara.
Oh, Madam, you're not clear if you're done speaking.
So let's write a heading, ways of extending, heading, ways of extending. We are still on life cycle costing. So ways of extending a product's life cycle. Ways of extending a product's life cycle. Remember, we looked at other costing systems, and among them, we talked about life cycle costing and then target costing. So I want us to continue until when we finish this. So heading, ways of extending a product's life cycle. In other words, how do we extend a product's life cycle so that it's longer? All companies want to have products with longer life cycle. When your product has a shorter life cycle, it means that it's going to be phased out quickly. It's going to be in the market for 1 year and then it's phased out. We want to make sure that the product stays for generations and generations. So we are asking ourselves, how do we do that? So one, advertising. The first way you can use is advertising. Advertising. This is intended to gain a new audience. This is intended to gain a new audience or remind the current audience, Pardon,
Madam.
This is intended to gain a new audience or remind the current audience, and potential customers, about the existence of the product, So advertising is very key because you keep on reminding people that we are still in the market. Otherwise, people tend to forget. Then two, price reduction. Two is price reduction. This is more attractive to customers. Since majority are attracted to price cuts. And discount tags. Since majority are attracted to price cuts and discount tags. Then two, adding value. This involves adding This involves adding new features. This involves adding new features. New features to a current product. This involves adding new features to a current product to attract the attention. 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 To attract the attention of a wider customer base. To attract the attention of a wider customer base. To attract the attention of a wider customer base. 4, exploring new markets. Exploring new markets. Exploring new markets. Exploring new markets. This involves selling the products. This involves selling the products into new geographical areas, into new geographical areas or new market segments.
I beg your pardon?
Or new market segments.
Madam Sarah, I beg your pardon.
Or new market segments. Or new market segments. Or new market segments. 5, new packaging. 5 is new packaging. New packaging. New packaging. This involves brightening up old packaging. This involves brightening up old packaging by bringing new attractive
I beg your pardon, madam.
This involves brightening up old packaging by bringing new and attractive packaging for the customers. Packaging for the customers. So what we are saying is that in this case, when we are talking about, okay, let's first finish up the last point. 6, special promotions. Special promotions. 6 is special promotions. Special promotions. This involves raising customers' interest. This involves raising customer interests. This involves this involves raising customers' interest by offering jackpots, and other promotional programs,
A new subtopic.
We are looking at ways of extending the product's life cycle. So we are saying, how do we make sure that our product stays in the market for a long period of time? So you can do advertisement where you create awareness about your product's availability in the market. So you keep on creating awareness. We've also said that you can explore into new markets. Someone last time said that, what if you go out there and you sell your product in other areas? That can also work. Instead of you seeing that your product has not been liked here and you stay there, you can explore new markets. Probably somewhere there, the market is not yet tapped in. So you need to explore those possibilities. New packaging, customers normally like having something that is new. You see, all the time, if you have the same packaging, customers don't feel your product, but you keep on changing and changing and changing so that your product is attractive to the customers. Offering discounts, you need to keep on offering these discounts, like Black Fridays, like those special promotions that these companies normally give. So those are some of the ways of extending the product's life cycle. So let's write a heading. Causes of product life cycle changes. Causes of product life cycle changes. Causes of product life cycle. Causes of product life cycle changes. One, rate of technical changes. In other words, we are trying to see why is it that the product life cycle is not normally constant or consistent. You find that sometimes your product is at a maturity, why it's at a decline, why it's so they keep on changing. So rate of technical changes, and we write that if technological changes, when we talk about technical changes, we are meaning technological changes. So we are writing that if technological changes, 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 if technological changes take place in the country at a very high rate, if technological changes take place in the country at a very high rate, the life cycle of a product in that country will be very limited. The life cycle of product in that country will be very limited. If technological changes take place in the country at a very high rate, the life cycle of a product in that country will be very limited, because new products will replace old products. Because new products will replace old products. Because new products will replace old products. New products will replace old products. So normally we have what we call the technological changes. Technological changes occur as a result of change in technology. So when technology keeps on changing, people normally adopt those products which have gone with technology. Those ones that have not gone with technology are abandoned because everyone wants something which is more advanced. Now, you find that, let me give an example of smartphones. In the countries where smartphones are manufactured, when they bring a new model, even if it's a car, you take back the old model and they give you a new one instantly if you want to exchange, having upgraded the technology. So you find that someone who has a Samsung, maybe S7, immediately the S8 comes out because technology keeps on growing. So these people are doing more and more advanced phones. It is easy for someone to switch from an S7 to an S8 quickly because it is readily available and the phone has been improved to a better breed. Now, in countries, let me say like Africa or Uganda, where we don't manufacture phones or where new models come after 7-8 years, it is very easy to find someone using a phone for 5 years. Something you cannot find in Europe, that someone will use a phone for 5 years. They just use a phone for 1 month, 2 months, even weeks, and they get new phones. So because technology there is changing all the time, so the old products are phased out quickly. For us, it's the opposite. Old products are not phased out quickly because it's not easy to see advanced products. Technology here is not at a very high rate. So technology is one of the major contributors of changes in product life cycle. 2, rate of market acceptance. Another cause of product life cycle changes is rate of market acceptance. Rate of market acceptance. Rate of market acceptance. If the customers of a country accept, if customers of a country accept if customers of a country accept a new product very fast, if customers of a country accept a new product very fast, the life cycle of products, in such a country, the life cycle of products in such a country, the life cycle of products in such a country will be very limited, because the customers who have accepted because the customers who have accepted the product very fast, because so we are saying that if the customers of a country accept a new product very fast, the life cycle of products in such a country, the life cycle of products in such a country will be very limited, because the customers who have accepted the product, because the customers who have accepted the product, because the customers, because the customers who have accepted the product very easily, or very, we are saying that because customers who have accepted the product very fast, can easily switch to another product, can easily switch to another product, can easily switch to another product, can easily switch to another product. 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 So what we are saying, the rate of acceptance contributes to product life cycle changes. How? If people easily accept new products very fast, it means that they can easily abandon the old products. That means old products will have a lesser life cycle. But if customers take long to accept a new product, that means the old products are going to have very long life cycle. Let me give an example of Africa. It is very hard for an African to accept something quickly. You need to explain too much for them to quit what they have been using to adopt a new product. It is not easy. You need to give them examples, success stories, and all that and all that. But if you don't do so, it is very hard to convince them. Look at how hard it is for Ugandans to accept other types of cars. The only model they know mostly is Toyota. For us, we know Toyota very well. So if you bring another car brand, you need to explain a lot. What is the fuel consumption? Are the spare parts readily available? What about the mechanics? Are they readily available? So now if this gets lost, now you need to explain too much. And yet in Europe, you just need to tell someone this is a good car, it is very comfortable, and someone will sit, drive around, and they're like, okay, how much does it cost? Pay. So they can easily switch from old to new. So in such countries, the product life cycle of products is limited. But in countries where customers take long to accept, the life cycle of products is higher. So people are using a product for very many years, because by the time you convince them, a year has passed, the second year has passed, the third year has passed. People thought of accepting the COVID vaccine when even COVID was phased out. So that's when people in Africa started saying, okay, let me go for the COVID vaccine. But before they were seeing the side effects, the what. So by the time you convince an African, it has taken years and years and years. So it's very hard for them to quickly switch. It is in the nature. It is very hard for them to quickly switch. So when they use such products, they have a longer life cycle. When you have such people who take long to accept a new product. Then 3 is of competitive entry. Is of competitive entry. Is of competitive entry. Is of competitive entry. If the competitors can enter into a market very easily, if the competitors can enter into a market very easily, if the competitors can enter into a market very easily, the life cycle of the products will be very short. If the competitors can enter into a market very easily, the life cycle of the products will be very short. The life cycle of the products will be very short because the competitors can make similar products. Because competitors can make similar products.
I beg your pardon?
If the competitors can enter into a market very easily, the life cycle of the products will be very short because the competitors can make similar products. 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 So, when there is ease to entry into a market, whoever is in that market, the products have a longer life cycle. But if there are barriers to entry, whoever is in that market is going to enjoy monopoly powers, and therefore their products are going to be on the market for a long period of time. So the product will have a longer life cycle than the other one whose entry into that market is open. You see, like, let me give you an example of chapat business. Someone just gets a charcoal stove. Is it a frying pan? And they put it anywhere they want, whether in the middle of the road or anywhere they want, and they start the business. Now, such a business, you cannot be there for a long time. You cannot say that I'm going to be in this business for 10 years. Anytime you're going to be fed up and you're going to be phased out. But if there are barriers to entry where no one can just enter into that business, that means the competition will be low, and therefore, whoever is there, the products are going to have a longer life cycle. 4, protection by copyrights. Protection by copyrights. Protection by copyrights. If the copyrights of the product are registered, the life cycle of the product, if the copyrights of the product are registered, the life cycle of the product can be fairly long, and vice versa. If the copyrights of the product are registered, the life cycle of the product can be fairly long, and vice versa. if the copyrights of the product are registered, the life cycle of the product can be fairly long, and vice versa. And vice versa. So we have what we call protection by copyrights. So if your product is protected by copyrights, it's going to have a longer life cycle. But if it's not protected by copyrights, then it's going to have a shorter life cycle, because no one can duplicate your product. You see, if your product is not protected, anyone can duplicate, and it's easy for people to duplicate your product, reproduce a product which is even cheaper. So you're going to lose out, and your product life cycle is going to be shorter. But if copyrights are there, then it's going to have a longer life cycle. 5, economic and managerial forces. 5, economic and managerial forces. Economic and managerial forces. If an entity has strong economic and managerial forces, if an entity has strong economic and managerial forces, the life cycle of the products for such an entity, if an entity has strong economic and managerial forces, if an entity has strong economic and managerial forces, the life cycle of the products for such an entity, the life cycle if an entity has strong economic and managerial forces, the life cycle of the products for such an entity, the life cycle of the products for such an entity can be longer, can be longer, if an entity has strong economic and managerial forces, the life cycle of the products for such an entity can be longer than that, of an entity with weak economic and managerial forces. With weak economic and managerial forces. What we are trying to say is that if an entity's managerial forces are strong, you see, when we talk about managerial forces, we mean that the managers there are doing their work very well. For example, a company which is performing well, the biggest attribute or the biggest advantage it has are employees being committed. There is no company which is surviving successfully the employees are not committed. So employee committed leads to strong managerial forces. So whenever the managerial forces are strong, it means that the product life cycle of the products for such a company is going to be longer than that with weak economic and managerial forces. For example, if we give an example of companies like Colgate, Colgate is performing well and they are ever reinventing new things. So it means that the managers there have strong forces. People are ever thinking, what should we do next? How can we make our product prosper and become successful successful in such a competitive environment, etc, etc. So those are some of the causes of changes in a product's life cycle. So last time I gave you numbers to try out. I hope you did. If you didn't, we are going to go through some of them, but I want to talk about life cycle costing when they have given us a discounting factor to use. So let's look at an example of life cycle costing, but involving discounting. So last time we just added the life cycle costs and we got the answers. But there are times when the examiner can give you a discounting factor to use. So let's start with December 2022 to B. So we are still looking at life cycle costing. December 2022 to B. So let me display this here. So they said, Minji Trading as Distributors Enterprise, MDD, distributes beer, soda, and water within the eastern region of Uganda. Recently, he got another dealership to distribute the same products in the northern region. The suppliers offer a profit of 1,500 and 1,000 per crate of beer and soda respectively, whereas the supply of water offers a profit of 2,000 per carton. The weekly capacity for transporting drinks is limited to 480 cubic meters. There are only 200 hours of labor in a week. The weekly water sales are restricted to 5,000 cartons. Below is an extract of the linear programming model for the weekly distribution of drinks. So objective function, maximize P, 1,500B plus 1,000S plus 2,000W. Subject to constraints, labor, capacity for transporting drinks, water cells, and then the non-negativity. Then they said where B, S, and W represent the number of crates of beer, number of crates of soda, and number of cartons of water respectively. MMD is also planning to purchase one more truck to increase on the capacity for transporting drinks, given the new dealership got. The enterprise is considering purchasing either a Tata truck or a Benz truck of the same loading capacity. The directors have always heard that a Benz is more durable, but it is very expensive to maintain. However, a CPA friend advised them that life cycle costing technique can ably help make an informed decision on which truck to purchase. Extracts of the financial information relating to each truck. Distribution, Tata truck, Benz truck. purchase cost, annual operating cost, annual maintenance cost, residue value. The annual required rate of return is 8%. MMD normally uses these trucks for only 4 years. So meaning that the useful life is 4 years. Required, I'm interested in part B, using life cycle costing, advise MMD on which truck to purchase. So that's what they want, using life cycle costing. So life cycle costing, like I told you, involves computing the total life cycle costs of a product from the initial up to the final stage. What are the total costs? So we need to track the life cycle costs. Now, here they are telling us that the enterprise is considering purchasing either a Tata truck or a Benz truck of the same loading capacity. So the loading capacity is the same. Then they say that the directors have always heard that a Benz truck is more durable, but it is very expensive to maintain. However, a CPF friend advised them that life cycle costing technique can ably help make an informed decision on which truck to purchase. So their worry is about the maintenance. But when we use life cycle costing tells us these are the costs you are going to incur throughout the product life cycle. So I can ably know whether the costs are going to be higher or they are going to be lower. Remember, we have 2 trucks to choose from, Tata truck and Benz truck. Of course, everyone wants a product with lower costs. So if I'm to advise on which product they should buy or on which truck they should buy, I should advise basing on a truck with lower life cycle costs. Lower life cycle costs. So we need to compute the life cycle costs for each Tata truck and Benz truck. However, they have given us what we call the required rate of return. A required rate of return is a cost of capital, cost of using capital. If you give someone 10,000 shillings and you tell them, but you're supposed to return 15,000, don't return 10,000. So it means that your required rate of return is 5,000 shillings. You return back my 10,000, but on top of that, you also give me 5,000 for using my money. So here they are telling us that their required rate of return is 8%. It means that we need to discount these amounts because they have given us a required rate of return. So if the required rate of return was not there, I would just get my purchase cost plus the annual operating costs, just like they have given them to me. Like every year, the Tata truck, they are going to incur 23,600 on operating costs, and they are going to use the vehicles for 4 years. So for the 4 years, the life cycle costs, I'll get 23,600 times 4 to see the operating costs for the 4 years. Maintenance, they are also annual times 4. But now we have a required rate of return. So this calls for discounting. So we are going to come and compute the life cycle costs for each. So we come and show that we are going to compute life cycle costs. So we look at each truck. So we are starting with the Tata truck. I need to see the life cycle cost for the Tata truck. Now, we are going to show the costs and we show the years and we show the discounting factor. I show the amount and then I show the cash flows. So we go back to the question and we see the cost they have given us. The first cost given to us is the purchase cost. I come under cost and I show purchase cost. So purchase cost. So in which year? You remember our useful life is 4 years. In which year do you incur the purchase cost? Do you incur the purchase cost annually? Oh. In which
Only
year
in
do
the
you
first
incur?
year, the initial
Yes,
year when you're going to start up. So it will be 1 year.
Purchase cost is always in year 0. You've not yet started using the asset. You've purchased it. So we believe that you've purchased it in year 0. So purchase cost is always in year 0. Our discounting factor here, they've told us that the required rate of return is 8%. So our discounting factor, we come and show that we are using 8%. So when we are at 8% in year 0, the present value interest factor is 1. Now, here we are going to need a lot of financial management. I think let me display the table for financial management, those present value interest factors and the annuity factors, because we are going to need them here, but we are going to see how we compute them in case the examiner has not given us those annuity factors and present value interest factor, because they are formulas we use. Let me just display here a table to be comparing with our figures. I want to look for a financial management paper, which I can display here. Just a minute. I've got it here. Now, in year 0, the discounting factor is always 1, always. So the amount they have given us for the Tata truck relating to the purchase cost. Let's go back to the purchase cost here. They have given us 252,000, I've cut off thousands. So I can come and I show amount shillings in thousands. So they have given me 252,000. So meaning that the cash flows here, we are going to come and show 252,000 times the discounting factor you've got. So still we have 252,000. So that one does not change. So we go to the next expense. The next expense here is annual operating costs. So come and show our next cost is annual operating costs. So annual operating costs, they have told you they are annual. So you're going to incur them right from year 1 to year 4. And it's the same amount. So in discounting, when we have the same amount incurred for a specified period of time, we use what we call annuity factors. So under years, I'm going to show that this one is annual. So therefore, it's going to be from year 1 to year 4. That is what I'm going to show there. Discounting factor. So we have a formula for what we call the annuity. So annuity. So under annuity, we use the formula as 1 minus, open brackets, 1 plus R to power negative N over R. In other words, in this particular number, we have 1 minus 1 plus your R. Your R is 0.08. To power negative 4, because we have 4 years, the number of years are 4. Over R is 0.08. So let's first compute this and we see. I don't want us to start by using the table directly, the table given to you in financial management, because when they brought these numbers here, they did not give you a table. So meaning the examiner expected you to know the formula. So 1 into bracket. So get, I don't know how you're going to do it. Maybe you first deal with the bracket. Get 1 plus 0.08, close the bracket, to power. The power button is that arrow facing up. So to power negative 4 equals, then you get 1 minus answer equals, then you divide by 0.08. What are we getting there?
Madam Sarah, how do we get to know that the years are 4?
3.312.
That the useful life is 4 years. They are going to use the motor vehicles for 4 years. That's what
Madam, the DCF is 3.312.
Something went wrong. Please try again.
So this is annuity. Now, if we go to the tables, let's see if we get the same. So the tables that they give us, we have present value interest factor of an ordinary annuity. You see up, they show you the formula that they have used to get those values. So they have period. Our period is 4. So 4 is right there, that line. Then our discounting factor is 8%. You go up and look for the percentage. So where those two are meeting, they are meeting at 3.312, which is the same answer we've got by computing. So we go here and we show 3.312. The amount, that is the money that has been given to you by the examiner to use. So annually, these people on operating, they have 23,600. So come and show 23,600. So meaning our cash flow is going to be 3.312 times 23,600. So we are just multiplying the discounting factor with the cash flow.
78,163.2.
78,163.2.
Yes.
We go to the next expense. So the next expense.
Excuse me, Madam Sarah.
Yes.
I was thinking the amount we could multiply it by the 4 years, because this one is for annual. So we are computing for the life cycle. I'm not sure.
That's why you've computed the annuity factor. Annuity. Annuity means you have the same cash flow for 4 years. So once you use this factor here, it is enough. Do you get it?
Yes, madam, thank you.
So that's why we've used annuity. Annuity means a uniform cash flow for a specified period of time. So annual maintenance costs. Annual maintenance costs. So which years are we taking for annual maintenance costs?
1 to
Yes.
4 years.
4 years.
The first to the fourth year.
1 to 4 years. The discounting factor is the same. The amount I've given you here is for 25 to 100. So 25 to 100. So meaning that our cash flow is 3.312 times 25 to 100. So if they were not annual, like the operating costs were not annual, I would have used the present value interest factor. But now they are annual for 4 years. So what do we get here?
83,462.4.
83,462.4. Go to the next. Next, they have the residue value. So we come and say residue value here. So residue value will be in which year? Residue value.
The
Fourth
fourth
year.
year.
Fourth year.
Four.
So the last year is the year in which residue value will take place. So residue value is only in 1 year. So the discounting factor, we are going to use the present value interest factor. And the present value interest factor is 1 plus R to power negative N, or what some people normally say 1 out of 1 plus R to power N. They mean the same thing. That's how we get the present value interest factor. So you can use 1 plus R to power negative N, or 1 out of 1 plus R to power N. So 1 plus 0.08 to power negative 4. What do you get there?
Zero point seven three five.
0.735. So come and show here 0.735. So if it's on 1 year, use PVIF. If it's 4 years annual, then you use annuity. So here, the amount they gave us is 2,400. However, this is a residue value. It must be put in brackets. Why? Because we are analyzing costs. This one is a revenue. So a revenue reduces on the cost. Your revenue is going to reduce on the cost. So that's why I'm putting it in brackets so that our cost can reduce. A residual value is a cash inflow, and yet we are analyzing life cycle costs. So you treat it as a negative because the expenses here are positives. Now, someone may wonder, why are we discounting this one? Because if you've bought a car today and after 4 years, you are expecting to sell it at 2,400. By the time you reach year 4, the car may not be worth 2,400 because time value for money, what I'm anticipating today, after 4 years, it may not be the same. So to show an impact of time value for money, we have to discount. So 0.735 times negative 2,400, what do we get?
14,994.
14,994. So by the time I reach the 4 years, I had anticipated 2,400, but it will be worth 14,994 because of time value for money. But if a discounting factor is not there, then it will be worth 2,400 because the discounting factor is not there. So we come and get the total life cycle costs. So total
Madam,
life cycle costs, yes.
Sarah, kind of why we're residual.
Yes. I've not heard your question.
Kindly pardon me to discount the residual value.
Time value for money. After 4 years, the residual value, if we are to take into consideration inflation and all other factors that could affect the value for money, that means 2,400 will be equivalent to 14,994 then. So currently we are expecting our residual value to be at 2,400. But if we put into consideration time value for money, 2,400 becomes 14,994. So all cash flows must be discounted, whether they are cash inflows or cash outflows, we must discount them, but only in the year in which they appear. So that's why I'm using the factor for only year 4. So now we didn't see from the table, from the financial management tables. You see, the table we first looked at was annuity. Now, you see there is this other table, present value interest factor of 1 per period at R for N periods. So they show you this. So you see there is no word annuity. So our period is year 4. So you come to year 4. Our R is 8%. 8% is here. So they are meeting at 0.735. So which we've taken even here. So if it's a single year, present value interest factor. If there are many years combined with the same cash flow, then you use annuity factor. So the formula for is this one. Formula for this is, yes.
When do we add up the years to get one discounting factor?
When it is annual. Are you seeing maintenance? It is annual. Meaning year 1, 25,200. Year 2, 25,200. Year 3, 25,200. Year 4, 25,200. So for us, instead of looking at year 1 alone, year 2 alone, year 3, year 4, we've decided to lump sum and we use an annuity factor.
When the cash flow is the same, that's when we use the annuity factor.
Yes, for throughout the life cycle of the product. Do you get it?
Yes, please.
So total life cycle costs, please add the cash flows. So add those costs and subtract the residual value or the scrap value.
398
398
631.6.
6. Remember, these cash flows are also shillings in thousands. They're also shillings in thousands. So we finished the Tata track. Now we go to the Benz truck.
Excuse me, madam.
Yes.
How did we get to the year 1 to year 4? That we have used
The
it for discounting.
The cost is annual. They've told you annual operating costs, and they've told you the company normally uses these trucks for only 4 years. So if the cost is annual, what does it mean? Do you get it?
Got
Every
it.
year,
Thank you.
have
I've
to
got the 4 years. Yeah?
4 years, up to 4 years. So let's go to the Benz truck and we do the same. So with the Benz truck, you're going to come and show the costs, the years, the discounting factor at 8%, the present, which we can call, so here we can say amount, shillings in thousands, amount, shillings in thousands, the cash flows, also shillings in thousands. So the first expense they have is the purchase cost. So come and show purchase cost. Purchase cost is always in year 0, always. And in year 0, the discounting factor is always 1. The amount for the Benz truck, the purchase cost here is 398,000. So come and show 398,000. Meaning that the cash flow is still 398,000. So that's why the purchase cost is not discounted. It only occurs once in year 0. So what you buy, then that is the amount. It will never change. So if you bought your car at 20 million, that will always be the amount you put in your records, that I bought a car at 20 million. But the residue value is never constant. So the residue value changes depending on the economic conditions. And that's why we have to discount a residue value. So let's go to the next cost here. So the next cost is annual operating costs. So come and show the annual operating costs. So it is an annual cost. That means it's going to be incurred right from year 1 to year 4. It is annual. So the discounting factor, annuity, we've already computed it, 3.312. So I cannot say that the year is 4. That means you're only going to incur that cost in year 4, which is not right. It is annual. That means 1 to 4. So the amount they have given us is 19,900. So 3.312 times 19,900, what do we get?
65.
65.
908.8.
908.8. We go to the next. Next, we have annual maintenance costs. So annual maintenance costs, still year 1 to year 4. We still have the same discounting factor. The amount is 29,850. So what do we get as the cash flow there?
$98,863.2.
98,836.2.
Madam is 863. 863.2, not 8.
98,863. So we go to the next residue value. So residue value is only in year 4. So we've seen that we have a present value interest factor of 0.735. So this one is always put in brackets 2 to 5,000. So the cash flow is negative
165,375.
165,375.
375.
So come and get the total life cycle costs. How much do we have?
Is 397. 397.
397. So the product with the lower life cycle cost is the one we recommend. So it is the Benz truck. So we are going to write that. Remember, they told you to use life cycle costing to devise MMD on which truck to purchase. So write that MMD is the name of the company. MMD should purchase the Benz truck. 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 MMD should purchase the Benz truck because it has lower. Are they lower or they're higher? Yes, lower. Because it has lower total life cycle cost of 397,000. 397,000 shillings as compared to those of the Tata truck, of 398,631,600 shillings. $398,631,600 shillings. So that's all about that.
Madam Sarah, I have a question.
Yes.
What if we had operating costs that were not annual?
They would tell us the year in which they are incurred. Maybe they incur operating costs only in the first year of operation. So that means it is in year 1 only. So they have to tell us.
Thank you.
Madam Sarah,
Yes.
just help me to reclarify in case we do not have discount, in case the question is just without discounting. Which formula do we use? Do we just add purchase cost
Like this truck, like the Benz,
maintenance cost?
so if they did not give us the discounting factor and we want to compute the life cycle costs, so the first life cycle cost would be the purchase cost. So I come and I show the purchase cost is 398,000. So the next cost is annual operating costs. So my annual operating costs would be, so 199,000, but times 4, because they are going to be incurred for the 4 years. We are looking for life cycle costs, the costs you are going to incur on the product from the beginning to the end. So for the 4 years operating costs, I'm going to incur 199,000 times 4. You put the figure there. You go to the next cost, annual maintenance costs. So here they gave us 29,850. So I get 29,850 times 4 because it is annual and we have 4 years. So I put the figure there. Next, we have residue value. So residue value, I just come and I put my amount in brackets. So the residue value here is 225,000 in brackets. So I come and I get my total life cycle costs. So I add those costs and I subtract the residue value. I get my figure like that. So don't bring in the issues of discounting because they have not given you a required rate of return. Have you got the difference?
Yes.
So when they bring in required rate of return, you have to discount.
Madam Sarah.
Yes.
So going back to that question, in case there was no annuity and the question which that lady asked, so where they give you when the year it was incurred, so we shall use the present value to compute, right?
Yes. So you come and compute the present value interest factor, 1 plus 0.08 to power negative if it's in year 1 only, and you get the present value interest factor to use. So it's what you put there. If it's only in 1 year, so they can tell you it will be incurred in year 2. So that means to look for the present value interest factor in year 2 only. So method number 3. Method number 3 is tear down analysis. Tear down analysis. Tear down analysis. Tear down analysis or reverse engineering. Reverse engineering. Tear down analysis or reverse engineering. Tear down analysis or reverse engineering. This involves examining a competitor's product. This involves examining a competitor's product. This involves examining a competitor's product in order to identify opportunities. 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 For product improvement. For product improvement. In order to identify opportunities for product improvement or cost reduction. Or cost reduction. It is also known as reverse engineering. It is also known as reverse engineering. It is also known as reverse engineering. The competitor's product is dismantled. The competitor's product is dismantled. The competitor's product is dismantled. The competitor's product is dismantled to identify its functionality and design. 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 In order to provide insights. In order to provide insights. In order to provide insights about the processes that are used. In order to provide insights about the processes that are used. In order to provide insights about the processes that are used and the cost to make the product. 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 The aim is to benchmark. 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 The aim is to benchmark provisional product designs. Provisional product designs. The aim is to benchmark provisional product designs with the designs of competitors. With the designs of competitors. And to incorporate. And to incorporate.
Beg your pardon, Madam Clara.
The aim is to benchmark provisional product designs with the designs of competitors and to incorporate any observed relative advantages 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 of the competitor's approach and to incorporate any observed relative advantages of the competitor's approach to product design. To product design. To product design. To product design. So that is what we call the tier down analysis or reverse engineering. You're going to find these terminologies being asked by the examiner for you to explain them. So when we talk about reverse engineering or the tier down analysis, we are meaning an approach we normally use to help us produce a better product than our competitors. So we copy what the competitors are doing better than us. So we incorporate those changes into our own product. So we benchmark. But the aim is to have cost reduction. So we want to see where can we reduce costs, not affecting the functionality of the product. So the function of the product is still okay, but we are making our product better through cost reduction, but copying what the competitor is doing better than us. So the competitor could be a market leader. So if they are reducing, like previously, initially, we had those big phones, but now the phones are slim. That means the hardware was reduced, meaning that the manufacturer cut on the cost. But the customers found that good because everyone wants to have a portable product. So there is cost reduction, but we don't want functionality to be compromised. But we are copying what the competitor is doing better than us. So we dismantle the competitor's product. So we don't tell the competitor that this is what we are doing with your product. We do it as an internal system. Maybe your iPhone, you go and you buy the latest Samsung. So you bring it into your company, you start seeing the technology they used. If they brought advanced technology, you can think of cheaper technology, which is also good. So you avoid what they are doing. Then you see which materials they are using to make the hardware. So for you, you find better material and which is cheaper. So you are doing something better than your competitor. So that's what we call reverse engineering. So quickly, we can look at November 2019 question 3. November 2019 question 3. So it had an element of reverse engineering. It also had an element of target costing. So November 2019 question 3. Let me display it here. They said, Mr. Baguma returned from China after completing a master's degree course in telecommunications engineering. He decided to put into application the required knowledge by establishing a telephone assembling firm in Uganda. He targets to make a smartphone with a brand name, Medtel, that is the Medtel, and similar phones on the market are sold at 700,000 each. The Medtel is anticipated to have a lifespan of 2 years and is willing to give warranty of 9 months. He plans to produce and sell only 100,000 phones. Thereafter, another brand, Medtel Extra, will be released to the market. The profit margin of 20% is targeted. The following are the expected costs to be incurred in the production of 100,000 phones. So have shillings in millions. Research and development, designing and engineering, hardware materials, software development and licensing, testing, packaging, direct labor, rework processing, production overheads, admin overheads, selling and distribution. However, he has established that reduction in percentage in the following costs has no effect on the functionality and lifespan of the Medtel. So they gave us the item of cost and the reduction in percentage. Statistics have shown that customers with smartphones of this kind incur extra costs of 300 on charging and repairs throughout the entire lifespan of the phone. So, all customers attest to the fact that the salvage value of smartphones is zero, since majority get destroyed by just a mere fall. On his part, Mr. Baguma has indicated that technically the Medtel will be less costly to customers since it has scrap value of 50,000 at the end of the lifespan. He also notes that a customer will be in position to incur 2,000 per week on charging and 5,250 per quarter on repairs and accessories. Required, with the help of reverse engineering technique, advise Mr. Baguma on whether he should go ahead and introduce the Medtel on the market. Using life cycle costing technique, assess whether the Medtel will be considered by customers. Advise Mr. Baguma on the strategies he can use to extend the Medtel's life cycle. So remember the strategies we've talked about of extending a product's life cycle, where we've talked about advertising, cost reduction, and so on. Those are the ones they needed in part C. But looking at part A, they want you to use reverse engineering technique. So reverse engineering technique normally involves cost reduction. To advise Mr. Baguma on whether he should go ahead to introduce the Medtel. So we are going to see which costs are going to be reduced. So when they talk about reverse engineering, definitely there should be an effect on costs. However, sometimes there are costs that can also increase. Because if you find that the technology you need to have a better product than your competitor, that means you're going to put in more money. So, with the help of reverse engineering, they told you that the following are the expected costs to be incurred in the production of 100,000 phones. So during the production process, these are the costs they are expecting to incur. In the production, they told you, however, he has established that percentage reduction in the following costs has no effect on the functionality and lifespan of the Medtel. That is reverse engineering. Reverse engineering is a method which you can use for cost reduction without affecting functionality. So that means they will use reverse engineering. So we are going to come and we start with the reverse engineering. Reverse engineering. So just like the name suggests, reverse, you are working backwards, seeing what you can reduce and what you can leave, because not costs are going to be reduced. Some are going to be left the way they are. So with reverse engineering, they have given us shillings in thousands. So we come and see what we have here. So with reverse engineering, research and development, we come and see if that cost is among those that will be affected. No. So that means even when reverse engineering comes into play, research and development cost is going to remain the same. So come and show. And reverse engineering is only applied during production only. Outside production, reverse engineering does not work. So the costs we look at are those costs incurred during production only. So don't look at other costs and you're talking about reverse engineering. So they've told us these are costs incurred in production. So one of the costs is research and development. So come, research and development, we show that this is going to remain the same. So research and development, you're still going to have 3,250. So that one is not affected. Even with reverse engineering, it's going to remain the same.
It's in shillings.
Madam, sir, the shillings is in millions.
Shillings in millions, not thousands. So we go to the next cost. The next cost is designing and engineering. That one is not also among the affected. So the design and engineering remains the same. So designing and engineering.
So, madam, here we capture only costs related to production.
Only reverse engineering. You only apply reverse engineering during production. When the product is complete, you cannot reverse. Hardware materials or hardware materials, are they affected? They are. So these ones, they are going to reduce by 26%. So that means, how do we get the new hardware materials?
The 100 minus 26.
Which is what?
Which is 74.
So we are going to get the cost of 15,500 they have given us times 74%. Or someone can get 26% of 15,500. That amount they get, they less it off from the 15,500. So what do we get here as hardware materials?
11,470.
Madam, why are we reducing the hardware materials?
They've said, they've told you. However, he established that reduction in percentage in the following costs has no effect on the functionality and lifespan of the metal. Hardware materials, if you reduce them by 6%, it will not be affected. So we get, what do we get?
11,470.
70. Go to the next. So when we apply reverse engineering, software development and licensing, it is going to be affected 25% reduction. So come and show software development and license. So software development and licensing. So here they are giving us 8320 times what? Yes.
75%.
75%.
Giving what?
60 to 40.
6 to 40. Let's go to the next. Next, they are giving us testing. Testing is not among the costs to be reduced, so it remains the same. So come and show testing. So with reverse engineering, testing is going to remain as 2,900. Go to the next. Next, they are giving us packaging 3,600. Packaging is not affected. So packaging 3,600. We go to the next. Next is direct labor. Direct labor is reducing by 20. So 7,950. So direct labor 7,950 times what?
80%.
Times 80% or 0.8. What do we get?
6360.
6360. We go to the next. Rework processing, not affected. So rework processing is still 1,320. We go to the next. Production overheads. So production overheads. So production overheads 2,920. Go to the next. Next we have admin overheads, not affected. So administration overheads. 3,650. We go to the next. Selling and distribution. Someone is asking, is testing part of production? But they have told you the following costs are incurred. That's what the examiner is telling you. The following are the expected costs to be in the production of the 100,000 phones. In the production, that's what he has told you. So we cannot eliminate it. He has given it to us as a cost of production. So maybe they have things they are testing. Maybe if the lighting is working, because you have torches in your phones, so maybe the bulb, if it's lighting before the phone is sealed. So we don't know what they are testing during production. So we have selling and distribution overheads. Selling and distribution overheads. $800. So that those are the only costs they gave us. So let's compute total costs of production.
Madam Sir, may you please scroll up?
So add up the cost very fast. We need total cost of production.
55,800.
The rest, are you also getting the same?
Yes.
So we come and get the cost per phone because those costs are not per phone. For us, we need the cost per phone. Those costs are for 100,000 phones, just like we did for life cycle costing and target costing. We had to get the cost per unit. So they told you those costs are incurred in production of 100,000 phones. So for us, we need for just one phone. So we have 55,800,000 divided by 100,000. How much is that? Yes.
558,000.
558,000. So that is the cost per phone they will incur during production. So they have told us to advise them whether they should go ahead and introduce the Medtel on the market. So we need to understand what is the market saying, because we are producing for the market, but what is the market saying? For us, these are the costs we are going to incur during production, but what is the market saying? So we'll go back to the question and see. They told you that here in the first paragraph here, they say that he targets to make a smartphone with the brand name Medtel, the Medtel, and similar phones on the market are sold at 700,000 each. The Medtel is anticipated to have a lifespan of 2 years and is willing to give a warranty of 9 months. And they said he plans to produce and sell only 100,000 phones. Thereafter, another brand, Medtel Extra, will be released to the market. The profit margin of 20% is targeted. Now, when the examiner gives you a market price and the desired profit, that means he's talking about target costing. Now, for us, this is the cost we are going to incur if we are to produce the Medtel. But what about the target cost? The target cost is that cost that puts into consideration the market prices or the price the customer can afford. So if I want to see if my product will be bought by the market, I have to compare my own costs and costs that will come as a result of the customers, wanting to make the customers happy. So those costs are what we call the target costs. So we have to also introduce target costing. So I come and I show the target cost. Now, a target cost is equal to, by formula, last time we said that target cost is equal to the target price minus the target profit or the desired profit. So a target cost is important to show us if we are to make our customers happy, how much cost should we incur if we are to make our customers happy? So if we are to make our customers happy, we need to see the cost we are going to incur. So we said that target cost is equal to, by formula, target cost is equal to target price minus the target profit. So the target price, that is the price determined by the customer. Or in a question, it is the ruling market price.
Madam,
Yes?
you have written target price minus target price. Is it right?
Target profit minus target profit. Target price minus target profit. So the target price is the prevailing market price out there. This is what the customers are willing to pay, or this is what the customers are paying for a similar product like ours. So the target price here, they've told you that similar smartphones are sold at 700,000 on the market. That means even us, we should target to sell our phone at 700,000. So I come and I say 700,000 minus the target profit. So the target profit, the examiner gives you either a markup or a margin. I told you that a markup is a desired percentage on cost, whereas a margin is a desired percentage on revenue or selling price. Our selling price is 700,000. They've given us a markup of 20%. It means that our target profit is 20% times 700,000. Because they've given us a margin. If they had given us a markup, it would be 20% of X. Because we don't know the cost is X. So we would have gone ahead and solved for X. But now they've given us a margin. 100,000 minus that.
560,000.
560,000 shillings. It means that if you want to make your customer happy, or if you want the customer to afford the product, which is medical, you should incur a cost of 560,000. If you want the customer to afford your phone, make sure your cost is 560. It can be below, but not above. But when we are to go to produce this phone, this is what we are going to incur. So, should we go ahead and produce the phone, or should we go ahead and introduce the phone on the market, or we should not?
We should
We should go ahead and produce the phone, because the cost we've received of 558 is lower than our target, which is 560,000.
So whenever the actual cost is less than the target cost, then that means we should go ahead with production. But when the actual cost is higher than the target cost, we should not go ahead. So we are still within the customer's budget. If we are to follow the customer, the phone we should, the cost we should incur is 560. If we are to fall into the customer's budget, the cost we should incur is 560. But the actual cost of production is 558. So that means we are still within the customer's budget. So write that the Medtel, they asked you to advise, let's see the question, advise Mr. Baguma on whether he should go ahead to introduce the Medtel on the market. So we write that Mr. Baguma should go ahead. Mr. Baguma should go ahead and introduce the Medtel on the market. Mr. Baguma should go ahead and introduce the Medtel on the market, because the production cost per phone, of 558,000 shillings, the production cost per phone of 558,000 shillings is less than the actual cost per phone is less than the actual cost per phone is less than the target cost per phone of 560,000 shillings. 560,000 shillings. And that is all.
Madam Sarah, kindly me scroll up on the solution.
Madam Sarah, beg your pardon.
The cost of production of 558 is less than the target cost of
Madam Sarah,
560,000.
pardon on the comment.
They should go ahead and produce the phone because the production cost per phone of 558,000 shillings is less than the target cost of 560,000 shillings. So let's go to the next. B. Using life cycle costing technique, assess whether the metal will be considered by customers. Now they want us to use life cycle costing technique to assess whether the metal will be considered by customers. Now, life cycle costing technique does not apply during production. Life cycle costing technique applies in the life cycle of the product. So whether the metal will be considered by customers, we need to compute the life cycle costs that the customers will incur if they are to use the Meditel. The life cycle costs the customers will incur if they are to use the Meditel. So we are going to come and compute life cycle costs. Life cycle costs. So I come and I show Meditel. Now, in this question, we don't have required rate of return. So we don't have those things of discounting. They have not talked about anywhere the required rate of return. So don't bring in discounting. We just come and see the life cycle costs they are going to incur if they are to use the Meditel. So they said, on his part, Mr. Baguma has indicated that technically the metal will be less costly to customers since it has a scrap value of 50,000 at the end of its lifespan. He also notes that a customer will be in position to incur 2,000 per week on charging and 5,250 per quarter on repairs and accessories. First of all, what is the lifespan of Meditel? Because they're telling us per week, per quarter. So we need to understand how many weeks are you going to use this phone? How many quarters are you going to use this phone so that we can see the life cycle? So what is the lifespan of this phone?
2
It
years.
is
2 years.
2 years. They said that here. You see, they said the Meditel is anticipated to have a lifespan of 2 years. So the lifespan here is 2 years. So we need to know if the customer is to use Meditel within these 2 years, how much is he going to incur? They have told you that they are going to be in position to incur 2,000 shillings per week on charging. So we have a cost of charging. They are saying 2,000 per week. So it's 2,000 times how much? times how many weeks? The 2,000 is for just
52
1
weeks. There are 52 weeks in a year.
104 weeks. 104.
So if there are 52 weeks in a year, we have 2 years. That means 52 times 2, which is 104. So in other words, it is times 52 times 2. Can put here shillings. How much is that?
$208,000.
So we go to the next. Next is they said here, and 5,250 per quarter on repairs and accessories. So come and show the repairs and accessories. So repairs and accessories. These are costs the customer is going to incur by using the metal for 2 years. So they have told you 5,250 per quarter. So how many quarters do we have?
4 quarters.
8.
Quarters.
8.
Remember, each year has 4 quarters. So 2 years, that means we have 8 quarters. In other words, times 4 times 2. So what do we get there?
42,000.
2,000. We go to the next. Next, do we have any other cost? We have a scrap value of 50,000. Scrap value is only had once in the last year. So scrap value, and remember these things don't have discounting. We put it as a negative 50,000. Scrap value is always taken as a negative when you're computing life cycle costs. Remember that. Which other costs do you have? Which other costs do you have? Are those the only costs?
Madam Sarah,
Yes.
these costs of the 300,000 shillings on charging and repairs throughout the entire lifespan, where do those ones fall?
Statistics have shown that customers with smartphones of this kind incur extra 300. That is more like if you are to use other phones that are like Meditel, we are also going to see other phones, their lifespan. So if we are to use the Meditel as a customer, are those the only costs you are going to incur as a customer?
Yes.
What about the purchase cost? How do you use a product before you purchase it? You also have a purchase cost. So how much are you going to buy how much are you going to buy Meditel as a customer?
700,000.
700. So remember, our target price is 700. So that's how much we are targeting to sell the phone at, meaning that the customer will buy the phone at 700. The target price is the price we are willing to sell the phone at. So come and get the total life cycle costs.
900.
900,000. So if a customer is to use Meditel, those are the costs they are going to incur. But yet again, there are similar phones on the market. If someone does not use Meditel, they are going to use another phone brand. So we need to also see a similar phone on the market. How much is it going to cost the customer to use? So we have shillings. So first of all, the customer will have to incur a purchase cost. So it's still 700, just like the medtail. So that one is the same. So we go and see other costs they are going to incur as similar customers. So they have told us that statistics have shown that customers with smartphones of this kind incur extra costs of 300 on charging and repairs throughout the entire lifespan of the phone. So if you are to use a similar phone, for you charging and repairs, you are only going to incur 300,000. Charging and repairs throughout the entire lifespan of the phone. So it is not per year, it is throughout. Then they said that all customers attest to the fact that the salvage value of smartphones is zero, since majority get destroyed by just a mere fall. So the scrap value here is zero. Scrap value, zero. We don't have anything else. Total cost, total life cycle costs. So funds of similar kind, these are the only costs they are giving us. Don't have
1
any other.
million.
1 million. So they told you to advise Mr. Baguma on whether the medtail will be considered by customers. So do you think customers, if we are to use target costing, do you think customers will like the medtail?
Yes.
Yes, they will.
Yeah.
Someone is saying that I said that scrap value is not included as a cost. I've excluded it. That's why I've subtracted it. So scrap value is subtracted to exclude it. Otherwise, if I just ignore it, that means it will remain as part of the value of the product. So it has to be subtracted to exclude it. So we conclude that the medtail will be considered by customers since, so the medtail will be considered by customers since its total life cycle cost of 900,000 shillings, its total life cycle cost of 900,000 shillings.
Pardon, madam.
The medtail will be considered by customers since its total life cycle cost of 900,000 shillings. The medtail will be considered by customers because its total life cycle cost of 900,000 shillings are less than the total life cycle costs of similar phones of 1 million shillings, are less than the total life cycle cost of similar phones of 1 million shillings. Of 1 million shillings. So that is our advice there. So in the remaining time, I want us to talk about other costing systems. So costing system number 4, KAIZEN costing. Let's quickly write about KAIZEN costing. KAIZEN costing. So 4 is a KAIZEN costing. This is widely used by Japanese organizations. This is widely used by Japanese organizations. This is widely used by Japanese organizations as a mechanism for reducing and managing costs. This is widely used by Japanese organizations as a mechanism for reducing and managing costs. This is widely used by Japanese organizations as a mechanism for reducing and managing costs. KAIZEN is a Japanese term KAIZEN is a Japanese term for making improvements to a process. KAIZEN is a Japanese term for making improvements to a process through small incremental amounts. KAIZEN is a term. KAIZEN is a Japanese term for making improvements. KAIZEN is a Japanese term for making improvements to a process. KAIZEN is a Japanese term for making improvements to a process through small incremental amounts. KAIZEN is a Japanese term for making improvements in a process through small incremental amounts. KAIZEN is a Japanese term for making improvements to a process through small incremental amounts rather than large innovations. Rather than large innovations. Rather than large innovations.
Madam, kindly come again.
KAIZEN is a Japanese term for making improvements to a process through small incremental amounts rather than through large innovations. It follows the concept of continued improvement. It follows the concept of continued improvement in all aspects of the entity. It follows the concept of continued improvement in all aspects of the entity for every level within the company. It follows the concept of continued improvement in all aspects of the entity for every level within the company. Within the company. Then write that. It is applied during the manufacturing stage of the product's life cycle. It is applied during the manufacturing stage of the product life cycle. It is applied during the manufacturing stage of the product life cycle. It relies heavily on employee empowerment. It relies heavily on employee empowerment since employees.
Madam, pardon, from manufacturing.
It is applied during the manufacturing stage of the product life cycle. It relies heavily on employee empowerment. It relies heavily on employee empowerment. It relies heavily on employee empowerment. Since employees are assumed to have since employees are assumed to have superior knowledge. Since employees are assumed to have superior knowledge. Since employees are assumed to have superior knowledge about how to improve processes. About how to improve processes. About how to improve processes, about how to improve processes, because they are closest, because they are closest to the manufacturing process. They are closest to the manufacturing process, and customers are likely to have, greater insights, into how costs can be reduced, greater insights into how processes can be reduced. Can be reduced, sorry. So what we are calling Kaizen costing. Kaizen is all about making small improvements to a product without major innovations. What we mean by this, we want customers to be looking out for something new to our product. So what we do, all the time we keep on innovating something small that is going to catch the attention of the customer. It generated from Japan, because Japan is like where most of the production work is done. In the entire world. So that's why they came up with this. So like you see the cars. Let me give an example of the cars. Look at the new model cars. What is new about them? It's only something small. So you see that maybe they have only changed the lights, the shape of the lights. So they call that a new model. Maybe they have changed the shape of the seats. Maybe they have rearranged the front part, the dashboard. So that makes it a new model. So every time there is something, there is a touch they put on their product and they reproduce. So to a customer, that is exciting to see that those indicator lights are shifted from the sides to the side mirror. That is something attractive to a customer. To see that the steering wheel has the increased volume, reduced volume, forward, reverse, those small things. Do you know a steering wheel with those functions can make a customer pay more? But what has the manufacturer done? He has only changed something small. So that is attractive to the customer. He calls that a new model. So if you wake up and you change the entire shape of the car, the dashboard at once, what are you going to eat tomorrow? Nothing. So you're not going to have anything to convince the customer about your product after you've done the major innovation. So you don't have any more work. Other people are going to be innovative when for you all the tricks, you completed all of them at once. So Kaizen is all about small improvements to a product rather than large innovations. So we do cost reduction, but we heavily rely on employee, and we do employee empowerment. It is the employees who are bosses. So elsewhere, employees are the bosses. The employee is the one who tells you, let's do this. If you say no as a boss, then the employee will not come back to work. They are telling you what is selling because for them, they are into this every day. For you are just waiting for your bank account to be credited and debited. These people are hands-on. That's why they must be empowered. 5, value analysis, the next method. KAIZEN, they normally tell you to explain what KAIZEN means and what it's all about. So that's how you can explain it. So value analysis or value engineering. Value analysis or value engineering. Value analysis or value engineering. Not re-engineering, but engineering. This is a systematic and organized approach. This is a systematic. This is a systematic and organized approach to providing necessary functions. This is a systematic and organized approach to providing necessary functions to a product. This is a systematic and organized approach to providing necessary functions to a product at the lowest cost. This is a systematic and organized approach to providing necessary functions to a product at the lowest cost. It involves the substitution of materials and methods. It involves the substitution of materials and methods. It involves the substitution of materials and methods with less expensive alternatives, without compromise. It involves the substitution of materials and methods. It involves the substitution of materials and methods with less expensive alternatives. With less expensive alternatives. With less expensive alternatives without compromising or sacrificing functionality. Without compromising or sacrificing functionality. Less expensive alternatives without compromising or sacrificing functionality. It focuses on functions. It focuses on functions of various components and materials. It focuses on functions of various components and materials. We are writing that it focuses on functions. It focuses on functions of various components. It focuses on functions of various components and materials rather than their physical attributes. Rather than their physical attributes. Rather than their physical attributes.
Pardon, madam.
It focuses on functions of various components and materials rather than their physical attributes. Rather than their physical attributes. The price of value for each element, the price of value for each element is determined. The price of value for each element is determined to reflect the amount. The price of value for each element is determined to reflect the amount. The price of value for each element is determined to reflect the amount the customer is prepared to pay for. The price of value for each element is determined to reflect the amount the customer is prepared to pay for. The price of value for each element is determined to reflect the amount the customer is prepared to pay for. The price of value for each element is determined to reflect the amount the customer is prepared to pay for. So that's what we call value analysis or value engineering. So we are saying it is a systematic and organized approach to providing necessary functions to a product at the lowest cost. So we are analyzing the value of our product. Go back and look at your product. See the value you can add in your product. So we say that it involves substitution of materials and methods with less expensive alternatives without compromising or sacrificing functionality. So you're trying to replace your old methods or systems or materials with new methods or systems or materials which are less expensive, but still without compromising or sacrificing functionality. So everything rotates around value, cost reduction, functionality. So with that, they can tell you to explain what value analysis or value engineering means. And that's how we can explain it. So we've done most numbers about life cycle costing, but I'm going to leave you with that one number. And this is the end of target costing systems. Those are the costing systems we can have. So I want to leave you with June 2023, question 3. So it's a number about life cycle costing involving a discounting factor. So that is the end of that topic. So next time we meet, we are going to look at a new topic. We finished costing methods. So anyone with a question about what we've covered today, you can ask. So everyone understood. Probably when you try out this number and it defeats you. But the other number about Medtel, I had left it for you last time to try it out. So that's how we're supposed to go about it. So if you don't have any question, then see you next weekend. Have a good night.
Excuse me, Madam Sarah.
Yes.
I request you throw more light on, there is a number you left, and we're talking about the staff learning rate. And they gave a percentage about it.
Oh,
It
that
was
is
a direct
learning
cost.
curve.
Pardon?
That is learning curve. We shall look at that under learning curve. It's a topic on its own.
Okay, please.
So let's
Madam, before we complete the costing systems, taking you back in the ABC analysis, whereby we were trying to look at having a limiting factor within ABC question. and they had limited us on the number of hours, and yet they had given us the hours first, then they gave us the limiting factor. So do we need to first use the knowledge of the limiting factor? We consider units, or we only stop on calculating the number of hours needed after allocation?
Now that one, you have to look at the number of units that fit within the limiting factor. And since relevant costing and the limiting factor is relevant costing is our next topic, probably we shall look at it there after us covering about limiting factors to do with relevant costing.
Oh, okay.